Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the ANC's election, the ANC's leadership election conference at Newzroom, of course, in Johannesburg. A rainstorm a little earlier. That was not a reference to the election results announcement, just the simple fact that there was a rainstorm here a little earlier, which has now since passed. Well, one of the interesting things that's happened over the last few days is the fact that different provinces have been saying in public who they would like to have elected as the leaders of this conference. We've seen the new leaders. Let's get some reaction. We start with the reaction of the Limpopo province. Reuben Madadzhe is the provincial secretary for the ANC in Limpopo. Reuben, good afternoon to you. Really appreciate the time. Someone from your province, Cyril Ramaphosa, has been elected for a second term as leader of the ANC. How do you feel?
We're very happy, and we want to take this opportunity, Stephen, to congratulate President Ramaphosa for his re-election as the president of the ANC. You would understand that if this conference did not elect him, it was going to set a very wrong kind of a precedence where the president of the ANC will just only serve one term. Well, it's not, the conference is not obliged to elect him, but the conference, when it was assessing the work that he has done as a leader of the ANC and both in government, it felt President Ramaphosa must continue. We're very happy as Limpopo. I should think the society there back home, there is ululation, there's joy, everybody's celebrating.
He said that when he first came to power in 2017 and then 2018 in national government, that the ANC was going to start a path towards renewal. Do you expect that to continue? Because I don't know if we've seen much renewal.
The movement it's continuing that program. It's not easy. It's a very kind of a difficult program because you are dealing with human beings. It's not like you dealing with machines. Here and there will always be resistance, but the president has been very firm on the issue of the unity and the renewal of the ANC. We think he will still get the support that he needs from the NEC and the structures of the ANC, because it's not necessarily his personal program, it's the program of the organization.
Yesterday at about this time, as delegates were voting, Florence Radzolani from your province, the deputy leader there, sat literally in that chair. She spoke to my comment, Clement Manyatela, and she said that they wanted delegates from Limpopo to no longer vote for President Ramaphosa, but to vote for Dr. William Kize. Why? Why did that happen?
You are putting it very right, Stephen. She was sitting here. That question was going to be very relevant to be posed to her. But from where I'm sitting as the provincial secretary of the ANC, in terms of the constitution, I communicate decisions of the provincial executive committee. I am the custodian of the policies and the constitution at the provincial level. My responsibility is to defend the decisions of the PEC. That is why I am a full-time functionary of the ANC in the province. I'm the only one person who is full-time there. I am both a politician and employee of the ANC because my responsibility is to protect decisions of the structures. If people contradict decision of the structure, I keep quiet. I will be failing on my duty as the provincial secretary of the ANC, and structures will judge me very harshly. When there is a decision of a structure, it's not about you being popular or unpopular. It's for you to communicate the decision of the structure.
So Florence Radzolani was wrong?
If she said it's a PEC decision, she's wrong, because the decision of the PEC has not changed. The PEC took a decision that it will support President Ramaphosa. So there was no any other PEC that changed that decision. Hence the statement that you saw from the Provincial Secretary's Office of Limpopo.
Your statement. It seems, from what we can tell, that delegates didn't listen to her. Are you glad that delegates in Limpopo, it seems from what we can tell, it's difficult to tell, it's a secret ballot, voted for President Ramaphosa?
No, I'm not so sure about that because it was a secret ballot, Stephen, but what I know is that there are processes, there are organizational processes. In June, the province, the conference, mandated us to lobby for President Ramaphosa. The PEC took its decision as a PEC. You called me to studio through a Zoom platform to say, we hear you want President Ramaphosa. You even asked me, are you not scared about the Pala issue? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But I communicated a decision of the PEC. After PEC, there were branch nominations. There is what we call consolidation of branch nominations. President Ramaphosa, even in that third process, he became number 1 in the province. I can't come here as a provincial secretary of the ANC and differ with structures of the ANC in Limpopo. I'll be making a very big mistake.
Was this all about Stanley Madadzhe, the leader of the ANC in Limpopo? And was this all about his bid to become chair? And was some sort of deal struck that he wanted to go against the will of branches in Limpopo?
No, I may not be able to speak to that, but what I know is that the PEC of Limpopo took a decision that we must support Stan Madadzhe as the national chair. We did everything humanly possible that we could do. We met all other provinces, we tried to sell our candidate, but the outcome, we are disappointed by the outcome of the conference. We lost by 44 or 43 votes.
It's incredibly close.
Yeah, because we had put a very serious fight just to make sure that, remember, we were contesting the current incumbent. Well, after the announcement, all of us, in terms of our doctrine as the ANC, we must rally behind the elected leadership, and we want to take this opportunity and congratulate Comrade Reuben Madadzhe on his re-election as the national chair of the ANC.
It seems to me if you have a deputy leader of the ANC who sits in that chair, a deputy leader of the Limpopo ANC who sits in that chair and goes against the will of branches, possibly because her and Stanley Madadzhe maybe were working together, I don't know, and then Madadzhe loses, that there might well be repercussions. Are you worried about divisions which will emerge in your province after all of this?
I don't think there will be divisions in the province. We must understand, all of us, when you are elected a delegate, the rules allows you to lobby and to be lobbied. So there is nothing illegal that the deputy chair might have done. She was lobbied and she agreed with that perspective. It's fine and good. We respect her. She's our leader. We respect her. She's the provincial deputy chair of the ANC in the province.
One of the big things that's going to happen now, so people will go into policy discussions, there'll be commissions. And one of the big policy issues the ANC has been grappling with is the step-aside resolution.
Yes.
What's your view as a delegate from Limpopo, as a provincial secretary on that? Because it affects people, including Florence Radzalani, it affects people in your province.
I knew, Stephen, you will ask this question.
That's why they pay me.
You are asking me for the second time. Our position has not changed. Limpopo people don't change their position willy-nilly. With regard to the step-aside, the PGC, the current PGC, said we need to review it so that we can strengthen it. Now, it is a different approach together with regard to the stance that we had when we came for the National Policy Conference. The PGC appreciate that the step-aside rule, it can be used, but there are some gaps and loopholes that need to be tightened. And at its current form, it's problematic to apply it. And you know that there are people who have got issues, who are not on step aside. Others are still indicating that, no, we are challenging these decisions. That is where we've got a problem with it. Others are on step aside, others are challenging those decisions. So this conference must come out clear and tell us as provincial secretaries as to what needs to happen with regard to the step aside, because at its current form, it's very difficult for us to apply it.
So it's difficult to apply, but I think it was President Ramaphosa, and if I remember the quote correctly, at the ANC policy conference in his opening address, he said something along the lines of, I won't put this in inverted commas, but he said, society will never forgive us if we turn our back on the fight against corruption. And there's no greater symbol of the ANC fighting corruption within it than the step-aside resolution. If you change it too much, if you weaken it, if people like Florence Radzalani who've been accused of various things, if some people like Danny Msiza, also from your province, who've been accused of various things, are seen to still be playing a role in the ANC. I mean, I realize the ANC is very strong in Limpopo. I get that. I know that you're not threatened in any way there. But in the rest of society, in Gauteng, in KwaZulu-Natal, in other places, the ANC is. So my point is that if the ANC is seen to weaken that resolution, there will be consequences from the electorate.
No, our view as Limpopo is not to weaken it. But you must understand, Stephen, the ANC is the ANC that established Scorpion and dissolved it.
And look where we are now.
It's the ANC government that established SIU. It's the ANC government that established NPA. There are law enforcement agencies. We must not talk like if tomorrow this conference can take a decision that step aside is no longer working, it means people are allowed to steal. Because that's not the issue, Stephen. The issue is that internally the ANC needs to have its own tools to fight corruption. But one of the tools that the conference, the 54th, decided on, it was to establish the step-aside rule. But the step-aside rule has got loopholes. There are comrades who try to manipulate the step-aside rule. And we are saying we need to tighten that. And we need to be clear as to what needs to happen to the comrades who are on step-aside. It needs to be very clear on the guidelines. And the NEC can't change guidelines willy-nilly. That is where we've got a problem. Because during the term of the office of this NEC, they changed guidelines twice. It can't be right. And we must not be seen like people who wants to promote corruptions and who wants to encourage people to continue looting state resources. We don't encourage that.
That may all be true, but it was the ANC that dissolved the Scorpions, and we've all seen the Zondo Commission, and we all know the results. And we've all seen the weakness of the NPA, and we've all known that it was an ANC leader that did that.
Stephen, with the Scorpion, I was just giving you an example. I was not saying we must go back and discuss the issue of Scorpion, but we replaced it with another structure. There is Hawks, DPCI. Why are you not appreciating that there is DPCI, which has done a lot of work? Because there are so many people. Because you went there to cover people when they are being taken away from their homes during the night, early in the morning. Why don't we appreciate as much as the ANC has dissolved the Scorpio, but it also replaced it with another unit, which this unit is working very hard.
It was only because of 3 constitutional court cases, Glenister 1, Glenister 2, and Glenister 3, that the Hawks got any independence whatsoever. And when it did, Anwar Ramat was then removed by President Zuma in the end because he felt that it was too independent. I hear the point that you're making, but I don't think you can say with a straight face, I don't think you can say to me that the Hawks were there to replace the Scorpions and were as independent. It was a deliberate attempt to weaken the prosecutorial authority.
No, it's a debate for another day. I can still argue against you, Stephen. I don't agree with you that the Hawks was established and was being weakened. I don't agree, because the Hawks was established by an act of a parliament. How do you establish a structure by an act of a parliament and you weaken it? I might not be able to have the right facts to argue with you with regard to 3 constitutional court judgments, because I'm not privy with regard to those judgments. I might make mistakes.
Sure. We can come back to this debate, and I'm sure you and I can also have an arm wrestle later if we need to. Going forward now, there'll be the debate around the step-aside resolution. We'll see what resolution comes out. There'll be other resolutions that come from this conference. What is the most important other thing this conference needs to do at a time when you've seen from the organizational report that the ANC is losing members?
Two things.
It also needs to make sure it wins elections in 2024.
2 things, Stephen. 2 things. We need to be very clear on what is the plan that we have as the movement to deal with load shedding.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2.
Coal or renewables from Limpopo?
No, wait. I'll come to that. Number 2, we need to have a clear plan on how we are going to deal with the issue of unemployment and youth unemployment in particular. If this conference doesn't address those 2 things, this conference will have failed on its mandate. We need to be very clear on how our society is going to be employed. We need to be very clear on how we are going to end load shedding. The other issue of the coal, we don't agree with these new things that some of you, Stephen, agree with, that we must move away from coal. We are a rural province. There are mines. The majority of our brothers, they work in mines, in coal mines. We can't agree with any decisions that would want to push this country away from the coal, because we are unable now to deal with the issue of unemployment. And immediately when you do away with coal, then it means you are saying those people must go back to their respective villages. When they are there in their respective villages, they will vote us out as government.
But in Mpumalanga, around the coal stations, around the coal-fired power stations, life expectancy is lower. It is your voters, it is people, it is our South African brothers and sisters who have lower life expectancy simply because of the coal and the way that it is used. It goes both ways.
Stephen, you are forgetting what I'm a provincial secretary of the ANC in Limpopo. With regard to the issues of Mpumalanga, talk to the provincial secretary of Mpumalanga.
Come on.
I am talking the position of the ANC in Limpopo
So it's
with
fine,
regard to our coal mines in Limpopo.
It's fine that people in Mpumalanga have a lower life expectancy.
No, they must live like me and you, Stephen. They must also wear a tie.
Reuben, I hope we have more ANC conferences because this is so much fun. Thank you very much indeed.
Much appreciated.
Reuben Madadzhe is the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in Limpopo. A lot more news to come from Nasrec. Stay with us.